Hello, my friends. I want to show you guys something. You remember this guitar here that I featured in a comparison film with the goooo CST100, I believe is what it was, I had planned to take parts out of this one, like both pickups from this one, put them in the goooo, and put the goooo humbucker in here, and put one of the goooo single coils in here. I got to thinking, about 10 years ago, I'm not really sure about the myths, if they are myths, about tone wood or whatever. But I do know this to be a fact because it happened to me. See, a long time ago I had this Squire Affinity strap. It had a thin body. I'm not sure what thickness of body this is. Well, one of these days I'm going to get the calipers out and take some measurements of this thing here. But anyway, back to the story. I had a 20th anniversary Squire Affinity model, and it had a Crunchy Pat bridge from Guitar Fetish in it, and it had, I think it was the Classic Vibe 50s neck or middle from the Squire Classic Vibe, and it was set up with the coil split. But this one, the Squire Affinity, had like a 3-way switch, as well as this switch, one volume, one tone stuff. So, went to this local concert, took it with me, right? And the guy broke a string on his guitar. I said, hey, why don't you just play my guitar and keep the show going? You don't have to stop and, fix your guitar, right? So he says, well, okay, cool, no problem. So they played through a crate, believe it or not, a crate GXM30, right? Just like the one that I recently got. He played on the humbucker and played all over the place, but that humbucker by itself on that particular guitar, it had this Angus Young tone. It sounded very similar to Angus Young with his SG. AC/DC, in case some of you don't know who Angus Young is, but I'm sure most everyone knows who that is. But anyhow, I found this a Squire. It's not an Affinity. It's a CAE, and then a bunch of numbers. I think it's right around 2000 or so, the model year, right? And it had a full thickness body, so I got the bright idea, I'm going to take that scratch plate assembly out of the blue 20th anniversary thinner Affinity model and put it in its full thickness body. It'll be better. So I thought, it sounded good, don't get me wrong. But going back to this tone wood thing, it didn't have that Angus Young vibe anymore. I don't know what happened. I don't know if the thinner body made it sound brighter or whatever. I don't know what's going on there, but it was never the same. So by then, I sold the other guitar, the blue one, the Squire Affinity, which happened to be my very first guitar. That was a dumb move on my part. But anyway, back to this one. I got to think, I said, well, who's to say these pickups are going to sound as good in the goooo as it does in this one? So I got to think about that really heavy. I thought, I don't want to repeat the same mistake I made 10 years ago. See, I don't know what this sounds like as far as like comparing it to anything else, as far as like any bands or whatever like that. I'm guessing it just has its own sound, I guess. But I've gotten used to it, and I don't want to do anything to mess that up. So I'm going to leave this like it is, except these, well, they're 2 volume controls now, but one of them is actually was used for tone. This was always the volume, So they're kind of jumpy. I want to replace these pots. I'm thinking about them. Both going to be with 500 just like they are now. And I want to have more range instead of like it's all the way down. You turn it up, it's very, very quiet. Then all of a sudden, right there at 9, boom, the volume suddenly jumps in there. I want it to have more of a range. You know what I mean, guys? So, only thing I'll be doing to this one here is replacing these pots and putting the other knobs back on here that was on here before. And these pickups are staying in this scratch plate, everything, and I even put the 5 springs back on there like it always was. This thing's light. I'll get weights and everything like that. This right here, I don't know which one this is. I have no idea, but whatever it is, I like it. It's a good one. It's staying. I'm like, nah. I'm not gonna do anything to mess up like I did 10 years ago. I learned from that. I thought, oh my goodness. I'm not sure, other than getting another Squire Affinity fin body and putting the same style pickup. I do have another Crunchy Pat Zebra humbucker. And I do have another white pearl scratch plate that's made for single and a humbucker. 1 volume, 1 tone, 3-way switch, whatever like that. But like I said, I'm sure you watched all 3 parts of the comparison film and my big plans of doing all these changes. I got to thinking about that. I thought, I'm not going to change anything except for these pots. Put better ones in. It's still going to be volume. This volume for here, that volume for there. And this 3-way on, off, on for a true coil split. And I'm going to turn the switch around so that way when it's up that way is this coil, and back that way is that coil, and the middle is both. But anyway, I just wanted to give this little update, my friends. I just want to catch myself before I mess up again, like I did 10 years ago. I learned from that. And hopefully I'm not going to do that again. Guys, I'm glad that you put up with my waffling. And I want you to do me a big, big favor, a great big favor, a huge monster favor. Have a great day, have a great night, wherever you are. And always remember, keep rocking. Make the world a better place, my friends. This is Birdman 316. Sayonara.